Welcome to this episode of My Ramblings. This episode is titled Rats. Okay, rats. I actually almost had a chance to keep my civil service job, and I've never really told this to anyone but to an ex girlfriend, but she kept prying and prying about all this stuff, and it really led to a bad relationship. Um, but what I never get told is during the trials and tribulations of my time at Great Lakes when they were in the process of removing me from civil service. I got a call from the captain. Captain, um, uh, most appreciated as I look back, said, "Look, tell me you won't do it again, and that'll be the end of that." But at the time, I was really stressed out. Most of this stuff was about ethical issues, somebody doing their job one way, doing it the way they think it's supposed to be done, and based on their 15, 16 years of government service, and really not wanting to cross a certain line. And I sort of felt like, well, then I would have to admit to something that I didn't do. And so I said, well, I probably would do it again. And I'm thinking in terms of not signing off on the safety plan. And, but really, what I missed was the opportunity to go talk to the captain and say, hey, well, this is a situation. This is what's going on. And I look back, I said, yeah, rats. I could have kept my uh, I could have kept my civil service position. Some changes would have needed to be made because um, it would have been rough going forward on that. Um, but I had the opportunity. But like always, in my illustrious, I say that quotation marks, it's not really illustrious, uh, but um, I was saving a lot. I was putting all I could into my retirement. I was an engineer, so we had to keep engineers in the civil service to recruit engineers. You can't pay them the way every other civil servant is paid. They have to, we go from, we start either from a 5 or a 7, and then we jump the 6 and the 8, and we go to the 9. We jump the 10, we go to the 11, and then we become a 12. And no, that's the same thing for law enforcement. They have their own pay scale. Attorneys, they have their own pay scale. Scientists, they have their own pay scale. And that doesn't, that gets into a whole series of ramblings about how people just do not understand the personnel system, even when they work for the government for a long time. It's like, well, you got more than me. Well, I didn't get more than you. It's the position I accepted. I don't think I would have wanted to make $28,000 a year when all my peers from graduated from college were making 33, 35 to start and stuff. But so anyway, so rats. So I would have. I'm semi-retired now. I'm sort of retired, but like they say on that commercial, you could retire and you could retire well. I did not retire well, but I am retired. Not many people can do that before they turn 62. Some eager existence, but I'm not complaining. No, anyway, so um, I know some of this might cast a bad light on the military. It's not really my intent. Um, there's a couple of good underlying reasons I'm writing the book. One is to assist young up and coming facilities engineers. I know it can be a tough battle. It's nobody wants, you have your first managers. Yes, we know we have to train you. There's no university programs out there at the time that teach facility engineering, but we want you guys. And I wasn't the only one that got hired. Hundreds of people across many disciplines got hired. You know, but you bring a certain perspective based on what your emphasis was in your particular field. We know we have to train and develop you, but then with all the reorganization and what have you, you get reminded of San Diego Charger football coaches. Well, what are you talking about? I have to develop these people. He's a first round draft choice. I pay millions of dollars a year. I don't need a good defensive line coach or a good offensive line coach. He should just go out there and be like a 13-year professional. That's what the next wave of managers seem to be like. So it started off good, but it kind of got tumbly and rough. So it's like, you know, you got to get beat over the head like you was a donkey, you know, to be able to learn anything. Half the world thought that half the people in the civil service and the military thought, well, you're a civil servant, you work for all of us, you got to do what each and every one. So they were always trying to get me out. They thought I was an electrician or something, but I persisted and I used my education and built up my experience and became quite proficient. So it's really kind of tough. You know, you got all these people thinking that you should know everything. You know, you're out of college in an area that initially they knew they had to train and develop you in, and they expect you to know it. And then you get to a level of proficiency and you know stuff, and sometimes you know more than anybody else there in certain areas. And everybody thinks you don't. Thinks, well, you must be my draftsman. You must be my electrician. You must be my estimator. Anyway, so it sort of becomes uh, not so much a guide, but more of a how-to, certain fundamental stuff that one does as a facilities engineer. A&E's, it's kind of similar, but the duties are far more wide-ranging and responsive, and you're not doing it for profit. You know, um, the Navy, like everybody else, has their own set of criteria. And a lot of people coming in not even aware of it. They don't understand that. God forbid, should an attack on the base occur, the base has to be able to carry on, and so there's certain other criteria is meant to provide a more reliable installation, somewhat more robust. And I mean, if a building goes up, can't do nothing about that. And of course, later on, the anti-terrorism criteria came into being as well. But anyway, part of it is sort of, I don't know, I forget exactly. I got to go check my notes. But it was an idea of lessons learned. Where did everything go wrong? Have we become complacent? Stuff along those lines. Anyway, that's it. So, rats, I hope you enjoyed it. I had to say that because, not everyone seemed, not everything went wrong. There were opportunities and stuff. But, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. So, we'll leave it at that. Have a nice evening. Thank you for tuning in.